Welcome back to Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and with all the doom and gloom that we've seen in the past couple weeks, I want to explain to you guys on a technical basis why right now might be the beginning of one of the most extraordinary short-term bull runs we have ever seen in stock market history. And that is a huge claim that I'm making, but give me a second to explain myself. So right now we're looking at the NDAQ on the weekly time frame, and so this is the Nasdaq, and we know that the Nasdaq was the hardest hit index during our sell-off. But there's something that is very extraordinary happening on this chart, which I want to go over right now. So this trend line right here has been the middle line for our uptrend. Anytime we are below, we are bearish. Anytime we are above, we are bullish. Pretty simple there. But what I want to focus on here are these three trend lines. So since about 2017, we have been using these three lines of support and resistance. And so if I kind of zoom this in a little bit, you can see we had a price channel right here for a very long time. We had our crash here in 2020, came right back in, and then we just continued to trade. And then you can see we have one other level above this channel right here. And this is usually an area where we don't stay too long. We do trade here for a little bit, but then we eventually come back to this bottom level. And so what we've been doing recently is trading in this upper channel. And you knew when we were selling off, this candle was starting to come to the downside. And so a lot of people were speculating that we were going to have an extraordinary crash, even coming all the way down to this level of support. So I personally thought we were going to get down to this level of support right here, which we actually did. We did back test it right here. Extremely bullish price action. We back tested and we did not look back. But now we are actually sitting right here on this level of resistance. And you can see today we actually went well above this level of resistance. And now what is this level of resistance? Just remember, this is a pattern that we have traded in 2016. We treated it as support here in 2015. And so we have no overhead resistance past this point here on the Nasdaq. And so if we were to break this, back test this line right here, that could mean an explosive run for the Nasdaq in the very short term. And on a MACD level, if you look at it, we are extremely bullish here. We have yet to see any sort of sell signal. We had a buy signal right here on about January 4th right here, and since then we have just been clawing our way up. And so we have yet to see any sort of movement that is signaling that the market is going to go down. And so with this MACD, with this technical setup and a potential break of a long-term pattern, which would lead to all-time highs, the Nasdaq could be ready to make one of the greatest short-term runs that we have ever seen. Now that we have gotten an overall picture of the Nasdaq, I want to go over in detail the short-term movements we have seen here on the hourly time frame. So on the hourly time frame, our MACD obviously does not look as bullish. If we end up crossing this to the downside, then we will know that what we saw right here is a huge bull trap. And so if we cannot hold this level of resistance, then we are extremely bearish on the stock market in the short term. So these are two big extremes that we are sitting on the cusp of, but we have to understand both sides of the argument. If tomorrow we start to claw our way back up, that looks extremely bullish for the stock market, because you could see we closed out the day today by back testing. And so if tomorrow we start and we just start to make our way up, that would be very bullish because there's no overhead resistance. However, the bearish argument is if tomorrow we break down from this point, our MACD would start to cross over, and that would be a sell signal right there on the overall index. And you can also see that this is a level of support, and we could see a lot more downside pressure from this level if we cannot hold. And so I didn't want to clickbait you guys into this video, but I feel like if you have got to this point and you listen to both sides of the argument, you'll have a better understanding about where the Nasdaq wants to go. And so if we're also looking at it on a technical basis, we have a slight gap to fill here at 138. Which does let me know that there's more downside pressure than upside pressure. Plus, if we can't hold this level of resistance, I do think there's going to be a lot more downside. But we have never been in this situation on the Nasdaq. So if we are to backtest this, then if you had bought calls today, then you are going to make a lot of money in the short term. So this is a huge gamble both ways. It could be extremely good or it could be extremely bad. And we will find out tomorrow how this story plays out. But I had to make a video on this to update everybody who is watching, because this is a situation we have never been in the Nasdaq. We have never broken this level of resistance ever and back tested it. So if we are to do that, we might see explosive returns in the short term. But if we can't hold this, then we will see more downside pressure. And so this was my quick little update on the overall markets. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like. We are on the road to 10K subs. So if you made it to this point, feel free to hit that subscription button. This is Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I will see you guys in the next one.